It's not Jasper, it's Tyrek.
Jasper's Tyrek in disguise?
No, he's evolving into meat where it's like...
Wait, you tell me to evolve? I can evolve into meat one. For I am of the Aqua Team, Hunger Force, and I'm about to lose my freaking mind!
That's
We
what I
should
was
probably
saying.
start
Sound
soon.
like Maple.
We should probably start soon. Jasper is slowly but surely turning into Gollum.
I mean,
Oh,
I
no,
mean,
wait,
if you go,
I know how this works.
No. He evolved. He evolved from Gollum to Meatwad. The next logical course of action is for him to evolve to Ace from Sea Lab.
Or Stitch.
Oh, she's touching me! And
Just
don't play that guy. I know how this works. I go on a tangent where I slowly lose my mind, and the next thing I know, it turns out we're live, and everyone can hear me losing my freaking mind, and that's just gonna make me lose my freaking mind even more!
You mean like right now?
Exactly like right now!
Has he finally caught on to it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I missed it, but yes, I am catching on, and now I've caught the cold, because this episode is ooh.
The one good thing we can rely on with Jasper is that he's a living mic check.
He really truly is, and I appreciate that. Jasper, you're my friend. I guess I should start the show.
I thought you already did start the show and I was making a whole freak out of it!
Just hit the red button, please.
Was that you now channeling your inner lemon grab? Oh, put you in my oven!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Reviewers Web. We're talking about School Raze, the season finale.
Hello.
Hello, who's going to start?
Sorry, yeah. So, I'm Golden Fox. I review MLP episodes, movie reviews. I stream Let's Plays, and I'm sick.
And I am Insane Spyro, the greatest dragon in all of gaming, and the one that gives them all nice big therapy bills from the art that I draw for them on a weekly basis.
I'm just so happy. It's over. It's finally over. This long of a season is over. Also, hi, I'm Jasper Pie. I make comics, do audio stuff, and write a lot.
And also, Jasper 100% knows how to Shatner it up.
How dare you call me a Shatner? I take very offense to that, and I am triggered right now.
Okay, I'm Moon Knight. I do songs. Well, I sing. I do some reviews here and there. Yeah, it's finally over. And Jasper, you're really glad, but next season is the last one.
We don't know that for sure.
But we may or may not know because Hasbro is a don and just leaked everything.
They also said that Discord was really freaking Star Swirl, and
We saw where that went.
it would
Okay,
have been cool, but it didn't happen. So
Brony Critic,
Yeah,
please save us.
Brownie.
Gladly. I am the Brony Critic. I review fandom material, fan content, like fan fictions, fan music, videos, and the like. I also do. I also show up at conventions and do analysis of the show and world building. So, yep. I'm interested to see how this episode is pictured and where it's going to fit in with the rest of the show overall. Plus, I also have my own theories on season 9.
And I am Fiaura the Tank Girl, your host, and the crazy lady who put all of these people in a room and made them watch an episode of My Little Pony. So, I guess we're just gonna dive right in. Goldie, you're up first. Take it away.
All right, thank you. So I've heard that some people didn't like this finale. I'm not sure why. I'm sure that I'm going to be finding out as everybody else goes on, but I liked it. I liked the Chancellor Naysays developed, learning that even ponies can use friendship for the wrong reasons, and other creatures can also be helpful. It's admittedly rushed, but that's time limits of an episode for you. I would have liked it if there were more Naysay episodes instead of, Friendship University, but I'm willing to take it for what it is. Cozy Glow as an antagonist doesn't seem to be a surprise to me, and I don't think it is to others, but I think it works from the younger viewer's perspective because the hints, we were able to see the hints, but I don't think younger viewers would be able to see that. And one of the few things that this one also did is that, okay, I was reading off notes, but now I no longer have it, but it's on my mind, so just bear with me. Starlight's character was put aside as she was held in that one weird orbed capsule thing. Most other specials involved her taking action for others, but this one, now she's put aside and others have to take action, which I think is a nice breath of fresh air and a different take compared to the aforementioned. So I currently don't have much else to say. I just joined in, and my thoughts are a little bit on the rustic side. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on to, who was it? Insane Spyro, you're up.
All right, I've got the exact opposite view of you. I dislike this episode greatly. So first of all, it adds a villain out of nowhere. I mean, we know she's been a villain from the start, but we already had 2 villains this season. We had Chancellor Naysay in episode 1, and he's like, oh, I'll make you all pay, and he jumps through the portal, and he was kind of a recurring villain. And then we also had Queen Chrysalis getting the Mean Six together, looking for the elements, and getting her big plot set up. So she's going to be our second villain. We really didn't need Cozy. We did not need a third villain whatsoever. She feels so forced, and every motivation that she throws out is the most contrived, as some people have already pointed out, bad fan fiction. I want to drain all the magic from Equestria. Yeah, that's going to drain the magic from you, but nobody will stop me. You're a child. Somebody could punch you and that'd be the end of it. But then you don't know what you're talking about, Cozy. You were terrible. You were just forced in here. Go over there, sit in the corner and think about what you've done. Okay. So I'll leave it to Jasper to continue on this rant.
All I can say is, many months ago, I predicted that something evil was about to Cozy. And you see this phone right here? Well, I don't have to pick it up because I called it! Oh yeah, it's black. It's white.
That was
Oh shush, we're on Jasper time! But yeah, this season finale, not one of my favorites. But I do have a positive about it. I absolutely love how Tyrek was portrayed in both episodes. And just the moment where Pinky was trying to break him was absolutely hilarious. It's like, I could do this for all eternity. Ah, screw this! I'll help you! Just make it stop! But yeah, going back to why I don't like the episode, like I kept saying, it just feels like bad fanfic writing. You got all these plot holes, continuity errors, and I don't know, the way Cozy worded her plans for being the Empress of Friendship, it just kind of didn't make sense. Maybe if her plan was like written better, if her dialogue wasn't so stupid, if she wasn't so stupid, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I can't really form a cohesive thought other than he's bad fanfic writing and he's stupid. So, Moon Knight, please save me.
Okay, I would lovely do. Okay, first of all, what I liked. The Pinkie Pie part was actually one of the most hilarious. I thought about one part that she was going to sing because it's like kind of her thing to pop out songs just in times of despair and need. The students are I think they're the only like redeemable part aside from Pinkie Pie obviously, but I think they're the only ones like intelligent enough to see, okay, Koziko is doing this, it's really like mysterious, something's not adding up. Why would Starlight do this? We know her because she would do things a different way. But aside from that, it's like, oh, suddenly someone can drain all the magic from everyone, from every pony, from every amulet, everything. And then what are you going to do without the magic? Because it's not like you have a ton of power. And even if all the magic of Equestria gets drained, like we saw with Tyrek, he drained the power of the magic of the Pegasus, and they couldn't even fly. So how is Cozy even flying, and how will she fly later on if like all the magic is getting sucked? And then it's like just really obvious what's going to happen. Oh, there's these 6 artifacts. There's these 6 students. They're each of the 6 races that are like the main protagonists of the series. I wonder what's going to happen. It's like, it's far too obvious. And then they say like, I get it. Like, it's nice that he changed, but suddenly, just because they really just free him, I guess they were right. I was wrong. They can be really good creatures just because they saved me this one time. It's like, really? And then the ending, it's like, ooh, we're slowly creeping up to the final finale because it's going to be Cozy and Tyrek and all these other villains, and Cozy doesn't add up. Honestly, like, Cozy doesn't add up. Like, I get it. It could be like you, me, or any pony else. I think that's what they're going for. It could be anyone that's like really hungry for power of anything, but it doesn't really add up. Or at least the way they handle it in this season, it's kind of everyone just gets like freaking hit with the bump stick with the Twilight Cane, and I don't know why she's doing it. It's fine. It's totally not creepy that she knows that I'm allergic to mustard. Let's go on with it. But yeah, your turn, Shoya. Or Brownie Creek, or
Shoujo, you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Your turn.
Okay, where do I begin? Well, for starters, let me start off by saying that Dino Thunder did it better. And what I'm talking about is the evil character or the secondary character that's thrown in there, and it ends up being evil. They did it better with Elsa, Mesogog, and Trent. Cozy Glow just utterly fails at this. She doesn't do it as good as they did. What I would have liked if there were more episodes centered around Cozy Glow and her mysterious mysteries or whatever she was planning and what she was up to. Because how did she even get into Tartarus to do the things with Tyrek? I thought that, well, granted, he still had some magic left in him, but he wasn't at his full power, so how was Cozy able to get into there, learn about all the stuff that Tyrek was doing? Well, granted.
Didn't they say they were pen pals?
How do you get a letter into Tartarus?
Exactly! How do you get a letter into Tartarus?
I would assume that, Derpy, I'm not going to call her Ditty-Doo, okay? You can't make me. I would assume that Derpy actually just delivers letters wherever it tells her to go, and if someone says to Tyrek in
she doesn't have any magic. How is she able to deliver it there?
I don't know, but she's gonna figure it out.
Other than that, this episode was kind of just meh. They just threw the main six aside and didn't even try with giving a good enough reason why they left. And the magic was just all floopty doopty, habba da 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 da. And the only good part that I liked about it was the Student Six, which is probably makes sense because they'd be focusing more on the Student Six in this season and their dynamic and everything else. But oh, looky here, a coincidence that every single magical object that was used to contain all the magic in Equestria happens to be from their race.
This show works in sixes.
Critic, Bernie Critic, go.
Thanks. While I don't hate this episode, I am frustrated and annoyed by it because Golden Fox has some points. There are the animation is really good. I love some of the character interactions, especially between the new six and the main six. Seem like they're kind of back to their old selves. They just don't have a whole lot to do. I loved Spike in the episode. He just had a great interaction with everybody. But at the end of the day, the thing that brings people and keeps them watching the episode again is the story. And the story is just so contrived. And it's not even Cozy Glow as a bad guy. The moment she was introduced, I was literally just going, bad guy, bad guy, bad guy, bad guy, bad guy. Because I thought, like a lot of people, Cozy Glow was Chrysalis in disguise. Why? Because that was a smart idea. And because she was introduced in episode 12. Why would you introduce your season-long villain halfway through the season? I thought if anyone's going to be the main bad guy, it would be, I don't know, Naysay, the guy who was introduced from the beginning. But if anyone's familiar with a pup named Scooby-Doo, Naysay was literally red herring. That's literally his role. He was the guy who everyone goes, oh, he's going to be the main bad guy for the season. Nope, he's actually a good guy. And racism is solved by friendship. Yeah, okay. But at the end of the day, this episode fails because of the leaps of logic. People say things and do things not because they make sense, but because they're very clearly reading from a screenplay. Star Swirl sends a letter, and Star Swirl knows that in 3 days the magic's gonna disappear. Really? How do you know that? Did the screenplay tell you? Because they don't even know what's causing it. How do they know how long it's gonna take? Or, hey, Twilight just so happens to have a key to Tartarus. I wonder where she got it. Oh, Cozy Glow had it. Okay, then why did Cozy Glow have it? Oh, well, that's just because that's what Cozy Glow does. And ultimately, the failure comes down to the fact that this entire episode was built up on a house of cards. What episodes are important to it? Marks for Effort. The Cutie Mark Crusader episode where we're introduced to Cozy Glow. The opening at the what was it? School or
What Lies Beneath.
I'm sorry, School Days. The School Days two-parter where we're introduced to Naysay and his ilk. The Mean Six introduces us to, hey, maybe the elements of harmony or maybe the Tree of Harmony is alive. A Matter of Principle showed us that Starlight gets put in charge of the school, which is a huge element of the story, which actually goes nowhere. But all of these episodes are kind of lukewarm. They're not very good. And so if those are the elements that you're building upon for your finale, if your finale is built on a deck of cards, is it any wonder that it should tumble during its execution? And that's not to say this couldn't have been better. Cozy Glow needed more reasons, a real plot. Cozy Glow had no reason to suspect what this would have. This makes Sunset's teenage zombie army seem like a masterstroke of Machiavellianism compared to what her actual plan was. I am going to become head mayor of a school of friendship, and then the world. How? And then, of course, it literally gets solved by a deus ex machina. The tree literally comes in and saves the day. Why? Because the writers wrote themselves out of a corner and couldn't figure out a way to figure the whole situation out. So, if that ends up happening, it's because you needed to send the writing through a couple more sessions if you literally have the tree having to fix everything. Like, it's the eagle syndrome. But that's my opinion.
All right. Well, I guess since I go last, I'll give mine. I enjoyed the episode, oddly enough. I do agree that the Tree of Harmony and that friendship magic in general has been used as a Deus Ex Machina way too many times in just about every single season finale we've ever had. However, I can see the elements in the second half of the season that were built up to be the season finale. I can see the pieces and parts put together, but I can also see why some people don't think it was executed very well, and why others would complain about the various things like the artifacts, which we saw for one episode, so we know Twilight has them, but we don't actually know what they're supposed to do, and we still don't know what they're supposed to do. But I frankly enjoyed it because, one, it opened up the possibility that the magical creatures in the world are more than what they just seem, or more than the sum of their parts necessarily, because they appear to be fusions of magic. It goes further to confirm that, yes, the Tree of Harmony is alive and sentient, and not only will defend itself as it's done so in the past, but will now reach out and defend others who have done what it asks, which really makes me beg the question if the Tree of Harmony is actually the thing in the background pulling the strings and the one really in charge. That's a discussion for an entirely different time, though.
But that's just a theory. A pony theory.
Get out.
Get
Bad
the
Shoujo.
hell out of Dodge.
Bad. You made Jasper groan. Bad Shoujo. But yeah, I enjoyed the episode because it took all of those elements from the second half of the season, brought them all together. You know, it wasn't executed exactly the best, but there wasn't anything that was just completely out of left field. Cozy Glow was obviously evil from the time we met her. Like, blatantly obvious, here's your evil character. Naysay was clearly either going to be another evil character or the reformed villain of the season, whether we wanted him to or not. As much as all of us would rather just stomp his face in and turn him into mush. And they put the same stakes they always put up. The whole kingdom of Equestria is at risk. So I'm wondering if this season finale could have had something more at risk or more to it, or if maybe, as Brony Critic put it, all of those other episodes hadn't necessarily been wishy-washy, if it could have been better. But that gets us into our next part. How do we fix it, guys? Golden, go ahead. Is there something you would improve upon or fix for this episode or the entire season?
Season-wise, I think it would have made more sense for to have Chancellor Naysay in a few times and not just one. I can't think clearly at the moment. Like I said, this is just these are just thoughts that are I just came in with little to expect. Would it have been nice to have had more episodes with the Student 6? Sure. But I still believe they did get some development here and there. Take instance, What Lies Beneath, where they were put to their test with their biggest fears. but those biggest fears helped with what they did in the finale. I can't think straight right now. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I understand. Insane Spyro, what would you have done? The season or the season finale?
Remove Cozy Glow altogether. Like, so here's what I would have done, and it's part of a longer plan, because this is where I'm going to show you how season 9 is screwed from how they ended it. So Cozy's like, "Hey Terek, want to be friends? Want to come back in season 9?" You're trying to deal with Chrysalis. It's obvious that Chrysalis is your poster villain girl. She flipped off Starlight. She's not getting reformed, and she's been the most recurring one to be like, I'm the poster girl. And across this season, we have built Chrysalis up to be the main villain. We have had her go into the school as the photographer, get the strands, and do the whole Mean Six episode. At the end of that episode, where she finds the Tree of Harmony, she found it, and it's implied from the way that she's flying off into the moon that she did get the magical crystals out of the tree. And it's like, okay, this is a problem. Chrysalis has now got these magic crystals out that tree, and she's going to come back and screw us up right after we see Cozy Glow clearly evil. Well, guess who that is? It's her. And then in What Lies Beneath, Osilius turns into Chrysalis because she's the main villain, and it's kind of like, hey, Osilius, your race came from her. You're going to have to deal with Chrysalis. So it's like Cozy Glow. If it was Chrysalis, it would have been fine. But as this third wheel, she just doesn't contribute anything to the entire season. Like, you already had Chancellor Naysay, whose reformation is questionable at best. Then you had Chrysalis really going at it like she wants Twilight and the Six dead. And then you just throw in this third wheel. And now that she's saying, oh, well, do you want to be friends, Tirek? They're now basically saying we're bringing her back in season 9. We're bringing him back, Tirek back in season 9. It's like, but now you've got, again, this 3-villain problem. You're going to have to balance her and Tirek with Chrysalis, and one of those 3 is going to come off as a third wheel. So either Chrysalis's master plan in season 9 is just going to be shunted to the side for Cozy Glow's revenge, or Cozy Glow is going to end up as that third wheel again. So, like, I would have just cut her entirely, or just had her as Chrysalis and focused on Chrysalis's, I've got the magical crystals and I'm going to really screw you over for the finale. Jasper.
I can't really think of anything that would change the season overall, but I do know one kind of thing I do know one thing I would definitely change about this episode. And I take out some of the false praise that Cozy Glow keeps getting about her being in Twilight's second hand, and all the stuff she's giving her friends. First of all, how is she getting all that stuff like concert tickets and cupcakes and such? And also, Twilight already has a right hoof, and his name is Spike. She also has a left hoof, and his name is Aloysius. Anyone remember Aloysius? Anyone? No? Just me? Nobody? Okay. Yeah. I don't know, for me.
Jasper.
Yeah. What?
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Well, Pepperidge Farm can't save me from this stuff! Oh, wait. Actually, another thing I'd kind of want to fix. Remember how in the Friendship University episode there was a mystery of how the Flim Flam brothers got all those books? I kind of feel like they left that unresolved.
It was Cozy.
Well, they didn't explainify it.
Oh, they say that, and just immediately Cozy comes into the front door.
Yes, but it was left unexplained. It was ambiguous. She could have at least even made a passing glance about it, but she completely glossed it over. It's like, okay, so she's been this little spy all along, and nobody's gonna bring it up. Okay, that's cool. Everything's cool. Everything's all groovy. Moon Knight, please help me.
Okay, coming from another owl, yes, I remember owl issues, but I guess their explanation for this, so because we haven't seen him or her, whether it's gender she's or he's, why we haven't seen Owlicious again is going to be, Twilight freed Owlicious after the library went down, so yeah, Owlicious is somewhere in the world. But aside from that, I think Cozy is not needed here. We really just needed we have enough good villains. We have Chrysalis, we have Tyrek. Naysay, he wasn't the best villain, but I would have preferred him to be the third wheel and started like a civil war or something like that between races than Cozy Glow being the third wheel, honestly. What else would I do? I know it doesn't have to be like the focus of the season. I know that some seasons don't focus a ton of the main six or on Starlight Glimmer, and they end up really making good finales or good seasons. But if your intro and everything that you're saying is, we're going to be the school of friendship, we're going to learn about all these new races, and then half of the episodes are, or half or less of the episodes are of the student six, and the other half are from something else. And don't get me started on Yakety Sax. Like, there's so much things that could be like written better in in the season, and I think it all comes down to, well, we know it's different writers, they all have different ideas, and maybe one writer was going to go with Chrysalis, but then the other one was like, nah, I think I can write Cozy to be the main villain. I think I can write her good, and this happened. So yeah, I think it's still a problem that they have all these writers and they don't sit them up and tell them, okay, here's the lore so far. This happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. I know it's not an easy task, but it's lore wise, and I know it's just a kids show, but honestly, that's not even an excuse from this point. Like at this, we're basically in the end game, and that's not an excuse. So yeah, that's why I would change. Also, the tree didn't defend herself or himself from Cozy, but it did like lock 6 random students with their war spheres and almost crushed them. Okay, on to Shoujo.
I'm critical of the show because I can see what they do when they're having a good day. I make some of my complaints and other shenanigans and all this other bad things I say when something bad happens because I've seen what they can do on a good day. Something that I would have done better is introduce Cozy early on in the season, not just halfway through the whole freaking thing. Like my example I gave with Dino Thunder, Trent was introduced early on, but he was given at least as far as I remember, a lot of backstory, and he ended up becoming a good guy. Not exactly do the same thing like that, but introduce her earlier and give her some more screen time to at least show that she's more important than just throwing in a half-baked finish at the end of it all. And like some of the others were saying, get Naysay more screen time instead of just in the pilot for season 8
and Friendship View.
Yeah, I would just have given more. I would have tried to at least work in more screen time with more important characters for this finale if I knew that they were all going to be in this. And what I think Spyro said, I would have liked it more if it turns out that Cozy Go was Chrysalis, and that would have been an interesting plot point to at least work around with. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Your turn, Burning Critic.
So there's a plot element everyone's mentioned about Cozy Glow being Chrysalis. And there's a reason we're all mentioning that, because it was the solution that made the most sense. But as I've been thinking and listening to all you guys, I just came up with a plot line that I thought sounded just fine. It would introduce elements from the very beginning of the show all the way through. I absolutely agree with you on Cozy Glow should have been introduced earlier. But here's what I would do. So we open up on, the Twilight and her friends going on an adventure, doing something like that. But by the act of going on an adventure, I don't know, maybe, they miss out on a very important event with the school or something important that should be going on. And as a result, they lose the support of the school, and Naysay finds a way to take over. He finds some legal jargon or whatnot. Naysay is the villain for the first half of the episode. And Naysay starts doing all these things. He can't quite attack the students. What is Naysay supposed to be? Make him an Umbridge. Make him an Umbridge from Order of the Phoenix, where he's trying to attack students, but Twilight and them are stopping him from being able to do that. Something interesting like that. Have that conflict going on. And then we find out that actually all of these situations and chaos that's been arising is being manipulated by Chrysalis. Maybe she attacks Naysay. Maybe she uses that as an opportunity to attack and claim the main six. And maybe you have Cozy Glow throughout the episode helping the student six. My suggestion is don't make her Chrysalis, because that's what we all would expect. But make her, I don't know, maybe a changeling that, actually agreed with Chrysalis or went back and joined up with her, or, wanted some magic and power of her own and so joined up with Chrysalis. Have her be a second fiddle to Chrysalis. Like, if any of you guys remember season 2 of Teen Titans, make her Terra. Make her like Terra from the season 2 of the Teen Titans.
Yeah,
Then
Princess of Chrysalis.
Serving Chrysalis. And so then you have this, you have the treachery, you have the, hey, you all thought she was a bad guy, and she is, but not in the way you think. So even in a predictable twist, you still add enough of a twist that it catches people off guard. You're waiting for the betrayal, and then when it shows that she's actually helping them in this case, you're going, oh, well, maybe she's not so... Oh, wait, no, she actually is that bad. Oh, crap. And that totally could work. You have those elements, and you still give the focus where it's supposed to be, Chrysalis, this threat that's been in the background the whole entire time. And in fact, if you need a reason why magic is disappearing, she steals the crystals from the Tree of Harmony, and stealing the crystals affects the Tree of Harmony. Maybe it's weakening the magic. I don't know, something like that. It makes more sense than these 6 random ass objects in a circle, with some alchemical symbols making a magic vortex that send things out into the ether. That would make more sense. And it would place all the plot lines around Chrysalis. She becomes the focus. You still have Naysay as the red herring. You can still have him be the reformer. And you still get Cozy Glow as the betrayer. But you switch it up on its head and you give everyone equal focus. And it's all centered around the main villain. The others just enhance. They're seasoning on the main dish that is the villain. But that's how I would fix it.
So, by that, does that mean that you would also just cut Tyrek then, because he's not needed?
Yeah, the whole thing in going into Tartarus is an unnecessary distraction. It's, hey, we're in Season 8, and people have wanted to see Tartarus, learn more about Tartarus. There are things they could have done, I think, that would have made the main 6, there are things they could have done or more interesting aspects. But the focus of Season 8 should have been and should be on the student 6, especially since, in my opinion, what the ultimate plan of the show is when they make Gen 5, it's going to basically be a nearly seamless transition from Gen 4 to Gen 5. In my opinion, what will happen is you'll have Season 8, Season 9, the movie, and Gen 5 will start almost immediately after that. Maybe, with focusing on new characters, a new situation, maybe a couple years down the line. But it would effectively almost be like the show never ending at all. basically a soft reboot of the franchise. So if you're going to do that, let's start building up these characters that they very clearly want to be the new focus of the show. Let's keep the main six in the advisory roles, maybe occasionally have them come in for their fun episodes or fun character interactions between them and the new characters. But let's actually give these new guys the substance that they need to support them, because that's why we fell in love with the main six in the first place. They had character qualities and unique traits and unique circumstances that made us fall in love with them in the first place. Even outside of the narrative, even when the narrative wasn't great, the interactions between them were so good. The student six have great moments. They have great chemistry. We just don't get to see a lot of it. We don't get to see it as much as we should or as we need to, especially if they want to make them the focus of a new show. And that seems like what they're trying to do slowly.
So my improvement explanation is going to start with answering a question that I really hope they don't do. Someone asked if they're going to do 3 villains, if season 9 is going to be Equestria at war. And my response is, please don't do that. Please, please, please don't do that. Because every single show I've ever watched that has had the possibility of war, so long as they keep the possibility going, and I'll give some examples momentarily, the show is great and amazing. And then as soon as they do the actual war, everybody hates it. So my 2 examples of this are going to be Star Trek shows. So Voyager, the 3-episode arc called The Year of Hell, and the entire last season of Deep Space Nine, referred to as the Dominion War. Everyone was big and scary and capable and all these other things leading up to that point, and then they actually do it, and the execution is terrible and horrible. And we didn't come to this show, we didn't come to Deep Space Nine, we didn't come to Voyager, and we certainly didn't come to My Little Pony for a war story.
That also reminds me of Megaforce, on how we were all promised this big war happening. Power Rangers Megaforce, this big war happened, and when it happened, it wasn't that impressive.
Exactly.
It was nothing but stock footage and unnecessary commentary.
The stopping of leading up to the point of, because let's all be entirely honest, none of us actually want a war. We don't want the things that are associated with it, fire and death and all this other stuff. I mean, I might have made a joke at the everyone dies of magical radiation poisoning when they
got the tokens.
Yeah, when they got the tokens out and fixed what Close Glow was doing, but that was a joke. I really, really don't want to see Fallout Equestria as a TV show, because, God, that would be way too adult for this audience. A lot of us included. So, yeah, I can't emphasize with that. And so, if they're going to lead into what a lot of us are talking about, which is a 3-villain season, they're going to have to resolve each villain individually before the finale and have one of them be the core central piece of that finale. I guess what I'm saying is that if you want to take what you just did with season 8 finale, what you did with Chrysalis earlier in the season, and turn it into a 3-villain season, the first 6 episodes are going to have to be probably Cozy Glow. The next 6 episodes it's going to be a toss-up between Tyrek and Chrysalis, and whoever didn't get that 6 episodes will be the 6 episodes leading up to the finale, which will be the big bad ending villain for season 9.
If I could make a guesstimate on what's probably going to happen, I'd like to make a theory. More than likely, I think Chrysalis is going to be the main villain for the opening two-parter, because at the end of that episode, it's going to build up to what the plot line of the episode is actually going to be. I think they're building up a Sinister Six. any of my Spider-Man fans in here, basically where all the villains get together and make a big team up for a big final showdown, almost like an anti-Elements of Harmony, which in concept isn't a bad idea. It's just it's going to be super duper contrived. And then if I had to go for a movie, they're probably going to do Grogar because they're of course going to do Grogar.
In concept, it's not a bad idea, but the thing is, we've seen it done badly. I mean, we've seen it done really good, for example, in the Spider-Man game, or in other Sinister Six appearances. But the
Teen
thing
Titans
is,
Season 5.
I was going to get to that. We have seen it done well, which tells you my faith in Hasbro's writing staff ability to do it well.
Yes, but the thing is that we've also seen it done wrong. And we've also seen My Little Pony done a lot of things the wrong way. Like, we know they can do it, like, really good. But then again, it's not where they can do it right or wrong. It's like we've seen what they can do right and what they can do wrong. And if they screw up this one, it's like there's no turning back. There's no more... If the rumors are true, obviously, there's no going back. So they either do a good Sinister Six, or the theory that I have is like they're going to use the movie as like a finale, like it's going to be like freaking Infinity War or something like it. It's going to be the actual finale instead of a 1 hour or 1.5 hour finale on TV, because honestly it would be kind of more marketable to have a finale that way.
Okay, well, finishing my thoughts. I'm sorry, I don't have faith in Hasbro to pull a Marvel and do a My Little Pony Infinity War properly unless they literally just go hire the writers from Marvel. I don't see it.
The thing is,
there's an idea.
Let me finish. However, the things I would have fixed from this season are not huge overarching things. They're little things like Starlight basically annihilating Discord out of existence. They're just little tweaks here and there to not necessarily to just change some of the visual and plot related threads. Flim and Flam being completely irreformable, irredeemable individuals. Cozy Glow being set up as a villain needed to be done better, and Naysay setting up to be the hero, to be the antagonist that could be reformed, needed to be done a whole lot better. And lastly, if you're going to use Chrysalis next season, you really should have set her up to come out better at the end of the main 6 episode. So those are my thoughts on how I would improve it. How would I have made it set it up to come off better? Yes, the Tree of Harmony proves to be sentient and proves that she can't just grab it, but I really feel like they should have set it up where she got some token or some piece of power she could use as her new basis of power, and they didn't do that. So that's how I would improve things. Now, everybody, one at a time, please light up if you want to go over a specific theme, point out a specific point, or otherwise go over something very detailed. We're going to start with Insane Spyro and Moon Knight in that order.
Alright, first of all, on your point, nobody wants the war. We've already seen it in the alternate dimensions where Rainbow Dash lost the wing and got the metal one, and we saw all the parallels where the villains won. As for the Infinity War thing, I agree. I don't believe in Hasbro's writers enough to pull it off. And second point, I don't want them to. Like, the reason why Infinity War works so well is because it's just Thanos. It's one big bad, the big cheese that's gonna be the one to end it all. And if you are going to have to split, and remember, it's not like a 2-hour Infinity War. You get an hour, maybe an hour and a half at most. You're going to have to split your attention between all 6 villains if you wanted to do the big anti-elements, the elements of darkness, whatever you want to call them. You'd have to split your time between all 6 elements of darkness, all 6 elements of harmony, the student 6, any side characters like Celestia and Luna that you'd have to bring in. There's just not enough time in this show, even in a movie format, because it's only going to be an hour and a half kids movie, to fit in a full-on 6v6. I would rather them this season just finish off Chrysalis, like just forget Tyrek and Cozy Glow, finish off Chrysalis, let her have her big finale, and then for the movie have like the Thanos, the big guy that's gonna reset the universe and pull us into Generation 5. Go on, Moon.
Well, I think that's kind of the point. Like you say, oh yeah, if they had the Marvel writers, they could pull it off. The Infinity War. It's like you don't need the Marvel writers. You actually have good writers. The thing is, some of those other writers don't actually know what the lore is. If they can all come up with a really good idea, with a really good and structured season that isn't just, oh, we're going to throw in this episode. Oh, but it's going to contradict this one because I think this is what should happen. Like, I know that different people think different, but it's like, if not, you're just pulling a Last Jedi. Like, you're just pulling a different story arc just for the sake of being a different director or something like it. Like, I know they can pull a what is it? A Sinister Six. They can pull a Sinister Six. They can pull an Infinity War. They can pull any ideas they have for My Little Pony, and they can actually do it without consequences because it's a kids show. But they have shown us that they can do also like really dark stuff, like Rainbow Dash losing a wing, like Applejack being forced to work day and night on this factory, or so. It was Ravi, I think. Applejack forced to work a ton on the farm because they all need supplies in all over Equestria. It's like they can pull these really dark things, but I think also the fact that Hasbro, or I don't know, like the TV, what is it, Discovery Family, because that's also one of the other rumors that apparently they're going to change television network or whatever. If that means that they're going to have a little bit more of creative like freedom, I think that's really on the good thing, because then they can do actually deep stuff that isn't like, oh, we can't do it because the kids will. This is a kids show. We can't do this idea because of them. And I think that's what the problem of the series and the season kind of is. Like, they're repeating episodes. They're not focusing really on what should be like a really good villain. That is, Chrysalis is already a really good villain, and it should have been the focus instead of Cozy at the end. But I think that they could do this really cool stuff. But then again, we've seen all the bad stuff they done, and it's like something's just stopping them to like reach their really good potential, because we've seen it, but something just doesn't let it go out.
Well, go ahead, Bernie.
I think I know what that thing might be. I've been thinking about it, and I'm realizing that all of the things we've included on what they want to make, what they want to fix with this episode, are things that were introduced in other episodes to make this episode better. When the show started out in season 1 and season 2, the episodes were episodic. They weren't serialized. They didn't have elements that, in this episode, you watch this episode and it implies things that'll happen in a later episode. We might get continuity, things like that from time to time, but we didn't have whole season-long arcs built up on that. However, as the fans for the show grew, we wanted more adventure stories. Well, the thing about adventure stories is that they take a lot of build-up. They take a lot of things going. Like, you can have a short adventure, sure, but the thing about a lot of those short adventures is that they were always, they might have a large cast, but their protagonists, the list of protagonists was small. Usually it was just Twilight, Twilight had a lesson to learn at the episode. She was the protagonist. The other main 6 had interactions, had fun, but they left their adventures, their growth in other stories. But as the series has gone on, they've wanted to introduce more season-long arcs. They've wanted to include more grander and greater narratives. And so the problem with that is that you're stuck between this original slice of life concept, which works great when you can only focus on a few characters. But if you want to focus on an adventure with a large cast, they have the large cast for a slice of life, situational, but they have adventure storylines, which means people are going to get, left out of the fray. It's the problem with the My Little Pony movie. Most of the main 6 had nothing to do in that movie. Fluttershy could have totally disappeared from the movie and it would have affected nothing in the plot. Applejack could have disappeared and it would have done nothing to the plot. That's the thing, is that the narratives are built like they want them to be adventures, but they still want to be able to go back to that slice of life. They're hindered by the original concept. So, I'm just a little bit afraid that the reason these episodes have been acting the way they are is because it's fundamentally a flaw in the mindset writers are now having for these episodes. They want large season-spanning arcs because they think that's what we want, but at the expense of the slice of life episodes. Because all the episodes that kind of sucked this season were the episodes that in some way or another built up to the season finale, involved the season arc, or building up a potential season arc.
So, to give an example of an episode that I think did what you're talking about very well and proved that they can do it, from this season, Surf and Turf.
Huh?
They have the slice of life of what is effectively, in my opinion, an allegory for divorced parents. And they have the Cutie Mark Crusaders exploring the 2 different worlds that the hippogriffs live in now and having to make a decision. And there's that element of exploration. We get to see Scootaloo experience what is the closest thing she will ever have to flying. And so, to me, the adventure of going and exploring a new culture while still maintaining that slice of life feel that you talk about was there. They're capable of doing it.
Wait, first. Surf and Turf, as a separate parents episode, is not really a good example of that. Okay, I get why you think it is, but just think about it. Like, the dad is in the land, the mother is in the sea. They're just separated by a shore. How do I choose between land or sea? Oh, I don't know. There's this thing called the pearls that you actually told us about at the beginning of the episode that can transform us into both forms without ever having to decide on each or the other.
Yes, but that's not given till the end of the episode. The implication of the episode was that for some reason he had to pick.
But the implication is he has to pick, but he really doesn't have, because we see them transform into the other form in.
Yeah, but here's the thing: he doesn't know that at this point.
He doesn't. We as the audience and he as the character doesn't know that, and since the pearl's been broken up into pieces, we're left to the idea that the pearl isn't going to work for some reason eventually. And he's also being told he has to choose one and stay there.
I mean, if he is Silverstream's brother, shouldn't he know that her sister got the pearl because she went into this school, and she sees the other hippogriffs transform, and she must be thinking, oh well, he's the one that says that the pearl is the one that transforms them. So why can't you be in both places at the same time? Oh, Brunner just left. Jeez.
I'll give you a better example then. The Kieran episode. You get the adventure to a new place, and you get the slice of life with the care and culture, and then you also get extra adventure when you have to solve their problem.
That's actually a better example of well thing. Like you have this epic adventure where they literally arrive at the end of nowhere, and this crazy dude is like, oh, you never know what's going to be there, and he laughs maniacally. And then you have Applejack going through all this really like big mountain and stuff just to come back and get Fluttershy back. And then they go into the Kirins, which they had the slice of life part where their emotions got into them and they couldn't show anything. Like I get your point. Like they can do both things, but then we go to the thing of to the part of it's not just if they can do it or not. It's that the writers are the ones that kind of not going like leading what the others have done, and at the same time they're kind of screwing everything, and that's why we have repeated episodes like what is it, the non-compete clause. It's the same as Fall Weather Friends. So what was the point of having that episode?
I'm back. Where did I drop off exactly?
I'm not sure. I was talking about how they can do the slice of life and the adventure well, and they've proven it in 2 episodes this season. As I believe was it Moon Knight or was it Brony Critic? Who mentioned the
after I said after I argued after I made an argument that Surf and Turf wasn't really a good divorced episode, I think that's where he left off.
Okay. So, and we were talking about how Surf and Turf and the Kieran episode do the adventure thing, where they go out and they explore a new world with unknowns and completely away from Equestria, and then still have the slice of life part of resolving an issue between family and or friends.
Right, and as I was saying, the reason that episode works is because even if the narrative elements are adventure oriented, the underlying themes of the episode are still very slice of life. The story isn't about saving the hippogriffs or saving Equestria. It's about the personal struggles of this individual character and the relationships they're in. The adventure is window dressing, which, for a slice of life show, adventure can absolutely be window dressing. World building is wonderful and great, but it should never come at the expense of a story. Never. It should only ever enhance a story.
If you must lure with purpose. Otherwise, you're just luring people to their death by bad writing.
Exactly, and that's actually one of the reasons that the Mean Six doesn't really work, because as far as we're aware, there aren't any consequences from it. They were building up like there was going to be some big consequence because Chrysalis is around, or maybe something was going on. But nope. Sorry, nothing here, nothing to see here. Maybe there's something, but they didn't build up any of it. So the whole episode, which could have been the whole episode is from Chrysalis's perspective. That's amazing. The first time we've ever seen a villain's perspective of an episode while they're a villain. They could have done something with that, or done something where maybe if she was victorious at the end of the episode, she maybe didn't get her way, but she got some kind of victory. She's moving along. Then the episode would have had a purpose. But so much of this episode was just season was just meandering and plodding along. They wanted to do slice of lives, and then every so often they'd, they're throwing a bunch of red herrings at us for what the actual episode is going to be about. And the ultimate consequence is that it seems like they had no plan at all. And when you look at Krozigo's ultimate goals and plans and lack of motivation, she gives no reason why she thinks this way or does this way. She just kind of decides to do it, I guess. We know nothing about Cozy Glow, except that she wanted to attend the school, and then she's evil now, I guess. Like, that's the thing, is it seems like they came up with a bunch of ideas but had no idea how to put any of it together, and so we got this trail mix finale.
I will say for the Mean Six one that there was a potential end, but you have to pay very, very close attention. When she finds the tree and the Mean Six get face melted, the crystals are in the tree, and in the last shot when she's flying away, if you look at the way she's positioned, one of her front arms is outstretched, like flying away like Superman, but her other arm is tucked into her stomach as if she is holding something, to imply that she did get the crystals out of the tree.
So, I have a comment here that would make probably a very good slice of life episode, and could go a lot of different ways. Who wants to see an episode where Twilight has to explain to Cozy Glow's parents where Cozy Glow is now?
Oh, that would be very funny.
Oh, brother.
If season 9 doesn't start with that episode, I swear.
To say that Cozy Glow is grounded would be an understatement.
Well, just imagine it talking about the prison system and the equestrian justice system.
Cozy Glow isn't grounded, she's undergrounded.
But crash.
Girl, you are so grounded that earthworms will be above ground more than you, girl.
And
Earthworm Jim is shaking his head.
Somewhere from deep within the barbecue sauce, Silver Quill is smiling and nodding and going, "That is my son."
I mean, there's one thing you're all overlooking. Does she have parents? Because, like, is it them that made her this twisted? Are they that twisted as well, that that's where she got her evil influence from?
Are you talking about doing a full, like, episode or so explaining Cozy Glow?
I mean, if she's gonna be here, like, explain her. Like, there's nothing wrong with having her. I don't think she was needed because we've got 4 villains this series. We've got Naysay, Chrysalis, Tyrek, Cozy Glow. Like, she was a third wheel, but if we are gonna have to put up with her, and from that ending where she's like, "Want to be friends? Want to come back in season 9?" If we're gonna be forced to stick with her, then yes, can you at least explain why she is the way she is? Was it her parents that are also twisted, or what was your reason?
She doesn't even deserve parents.
The only thing she deserves is a paddle.
Yep.
To the face!
No, we need Filthy Frank. Who are your parents? Where are your parents? It's time to stop.
So, if you guys don't mind going off on a slight tangent just for a moment, that's an interesting question. Do we want Cozy Glow to actually have parents, or do we want her parents to be in Disney World?
Disney World, Disney World, Disney World.
A farm upstate.
Let them do Disney. It's bad enough they have to be her parents.
Well,
Now,
it
I would say yes, but if we're gonna have parents, I want them to be the most twisted, horrible people you can imagine. Like, some kind of religious nut cult. Because, I mean, Cozy Glow knew to put those 6 tokens in that alchemic circle, and she also just happened to know what alchemic runes to draw. So, like, is this something your parents practiced? Like, just make them this crazy religious cult, and you could even, if you wanted to, play it up to have the one villain we haven't seen of Grogar, where let's just say he's dead, and their crazy twisted nut cult revives him.
And that's the villain for the movie. At the end of season 9, they introduce him, they build him up. He gets revealed at the end, and it's Grogar will appear in My Little Pony the movie too.
That's why I was saying, like, set up the villain at the end, and then you have a freaking, like, the closing of Gen 4 at the movie 2, and then the opening on the next movie.
Alright, well, does anybody else have any other thing they want to bring up or any specific point they want to talk about from the season finale before we move to questions? Critic.
Despite my problems with the narrative, I do want to end on a positive note because there are great moments in this episode. I do love the animation. Some of the character interactions are wonderful and great. When the characters aren't being hit with the idiot stick, some of the elements are actually kind of amazing. Like Sandbar standing up and, you know, pretending to be the traitor in order to have the freedom to move around. That was great. That was a character using their head and manipulating the personality of one of the villains to his advantage. That's wonderful. That's using your brain. That's smart, and it advanced the story. You know, Spike was wonderful. Like his whole 7 throughout the whole Tartarus scene, that was wonderful. In fact, as much as I disliked the Tartarus scene because it's unnecessary, I enjoy watching it because of the interactions between the main 6. Like, this is the kind of chemistry that we fell in love with in the beginning. I just wish it meant something and wasn't just, again, a big red herring.
I have to agree with you. I'll let you go in a second, Shoujo. I have to agree with you on that because I also I kept mentioning Pinkie Pie's characterization, and I'm like, that's kind of dead on. Dear God, that's traumatizing. You know, all the magic in Equestria is gone, but Pinkie Pie can still pour a teapot with her hair.
That's because she's an eldritch Lovecraftian horror.
Go ahead, Shoujo.
2 things. One, you stole my thing that I was going to talk about. How does Pinkie's force wall powers factor into all this magic stuff? And 2, I want to do the same thing as Brony Critic and say, while I didn't really like the way that they did Cozy Glow, I did like some of the many emotions and different facial expressions she made. Some of them were really creeped me out and made me think in some moments when I wasn't thinking this was incredibly stupid, wow, she's evil. So I like the facial expressions, didn't like Cozy Glow.
I gotta say, yeah, with Spike, it was pretty funny because I guess even the writer of this episode is like, he's also kind of important in this story, but no one else acknowledged him, so we're just going to throw this joke in. It was really funny, like, not even T-Rex acknowledging that he's sort of this important character too. It's kind of self-deprecating, but at the same time, it's just like really awful that they don't do anything else with Spike. Like, oh, they tease, like Ronnie Critic said, like they tease that, ooh, we're gonna meet Spike's dad. Not, ooh, we're gonna know where Spike's egg comes from. Not. It's like it's like this constant teasing, and it's just like self-deprimental this time.
Okay.
It's so sad.
It is. Does anybody else have anything they want to bring up specifically? Okay. Golden, Jasper, you two kind of been a little quiet. Are you two okay?
I am resisting the urge to scream at the risk of bleeding people's ears out.
Listening to a lot of people's criticisms, especially what Brony Critic has pointed out, it's made me feel more doubtful of the series, or it's been making me lose faith after hearing so much of what you guys have to say. Yeah, I do believe the series could have been done better. It could have been more focused on what it needed to do instead of just focusing too much on what it wanted. But that does bring the question: are we to blame? Is the show staff to blame about the cause of the show drifting off into wanted territory compared to needed territory?
I think ultimately it still does fall with the creators because, yeah, the Brony fandom can want a lot of things, and we did want a lot of things, but people are stupid. People want a lot of things that they don't really need, and the fact that they felt it necessary to pander, I think it made them not completely, but maybe started to lose focus in some episodes. And that's not to say that they don't still have amazing episodes. There are episodes in this show that are just mwah, and it's happened long after the pandering. But the fact that we had a whole episode that was literally just background characters and referential and memeage, and only because the fans wanted it. Now, there's nothing wrong with appealing to your fans, but I wonder how much what the fans wanted ultimately harmed what the overall intention of the show was from the beginning. And the creators didn't have to listen to us. I mean, there is a reason why fan fiction exists.
And that's the reason where they took some ideas from for some of these episodes.
And I'm going to flip this around. I think we are to blame. We are very much harsher critics of everything that we consumed 4, 5, or even, I dare say, 2 years ago at this point. We are so much harsher at criticizing stuff. I brought this up in an entire video discussing why the gaming industry feels wrong. It's because we as an audience have also been abused in certain ways. Our goodwill has been abused and not repaired, and when a show like My Little Pony does, like, say, an episode like The Main Attraction or Slice of Life, they're genuinely reaching out back to us to go, we're sorry. But you can't ever truly repair a relationship when you've done damage to it without directly addressing the damage you've done. And I don't think they've ever actually addressed the things that made us the most upset. They've instead just buried them and moved on. And we are still harsher judges of everything now than we were even 2 years ago at this point. So I think part of it is on us, putting a whole lot on their shoulders, and then when they don't quite meet what we want, we get upset, not realizing that we've constantly been raising the bar. Yes, Moon Knight, and then Insane.
I'm gonna say it's something that a critic also said. I wouldn't be like critiquing or reviewing this show if I didn't like it. I like anyone else of you. I've seen how good this show can be, how emotional it can be, how an overarching plot can actually work if done right. That's why we're such criticals about it. Like, we're such criticals about it because we love the show and we want to see it succeed, and we want to see it like do better things. And I don't know if they do kind of not too like a big improvement, but they do small improvements. We really appreciated that. And for example, with the Hearts Farming Club episodes, the Mean Six episode, while it was a little bit out of there wasn't really anything to go into it, but seeing Chrysalis just talk to herself and just go insane at this point, it was really interesting. And we've seen what the writers can do. That's why we're kind of critic. And it may be kind of our fault, but I think it's also kind of their fault for trying to just put it out as quickly as possible, not have a really good communication. Because even on season 1, 2, and 3, like, of course we weren't that critical by them because, well, we didn't saw these really grand episodes, and we were just thinking, oh, it's just a pony show. Don't worry, it's fun, and it's a slice of life thing, and here and there it has some endings. But we've grown more critical because we've seen how good they can be at times. And then we have the episodes like Yake Sacks, Non-Compete Clause, The Ending Friend, where they just do things that they shouldn't be doing, like lessons that aren't really going anywhere. And that's what really we don't like, and that's why we critique them. And that's why we need to tell them, look, we know you can do better. We know you've done better. But right now, you're kind of screwing up, and you have to do this a little bit better. We know that we're just fans. We're just the ones that are watching, and maybe other people liked it. But it's important also to have that feedback, because if not, it's like in some games, and what's happening to EA and Ubisoft and all those really big developers. Like, they're not listening to fans, they don't care, and they're just plummeting into bankruptcy because no one really cares about them anymore, because they never heard the people that actually cared about them in the first place.
And there's a balance here. Like, the show writers shouldn't ignore fans, but you cannot deny that when the show started out, most of us had no expectations for this show. The fact that it was just good at all, attracted our interest. That was the point. There was hey, look at this show. It's marketed towards little girls, but the character relations, the world building, all of this is just amazing. It's greater than it should be. And that's what attracted us to it. And then when the writers realized, oh, wait, there's this whole community, and they make references to little tiny funny glitches and errors and funny things, I wonder if we started making references to things like that. And that mentality is dangerous, because once you start pandering to fans, fans become expectant. And when fans become expectant, they become entitled. And I do think at some degree the Brony fandom gets entitled, or is entitled. We've been spoiled by a community that has a whole bunch of content that we can consume really quickly, and by content creators who, for the most part, will feed those urges unhindered. But I wonder if that created a feedback loop where, oh, they need to pander to us, and then when you pander, they'll want to pander more because they know the fans will keep on watching, and the fans expect more. And then when the show can't live up to whatever they need to pander, or when they're pandering actively ends up harming the episode, because not every idea came up by a fan is a good idea. But if enough people talk about it, Equestria Girls, those ideas get spent, those ideas get made. And Equestria Girls is actually a great example. The only reason Equestria Girls was created in the first place is because they literally admitted this, is that they noticed how many humanized ponies were in the fandom. How many people were making human versions of ponies, and oh, this must be something the fans want. So they made Equestria Girls, and then everyone went, yeah, I didn't want that. Except that they did. They just didn't want it the way it got presented. They pandered to the audience, and when they couldn't deliver, the audience was disappointed because they became expectant of that kind of behavior.
Okay.
It became a feedback loop.
I saw Jasper actually before you two. Jasper?
That was actually an accident. I was typing up in something else, but I will say, are you proud to be a brownie?
I just want to add something to what Brony Critic said. That's not why Equestria Girls was made. If you're referring to that clip on what the comic book writers are saying, that was very tongue-in-cheek. Equestria Girls was made to compete against Monster High.
That's what I was going to say. But yeah,
okay, my mistake.
Well, in a way, it still kind of worked out. In a way.
I don't think any of us are going to disagree with that one. Insane, and then Shoujo, and then we'll move to Q&A.
Fair enough. I'll add on to what Brony said about pandering. Now, there's nothing wrong with a bit of pandering as long as it's minimal and you can get your stuff together. And all the while he was talking about Equestria Girls then, I was just reminded of another event that happened with pandering, and it was like, oh... But keeping on the whole balance thing, we do influence in both this show and the gaming industry, for those of us who are in it. We do influence what corporations say for the most part, but it's the way you have to say it. Because if it's a lost cause like EA, who cares? You can just trash talk them all you want. But if it's something that you care about, that is good, like Nintendo, you want to deliver that harsh criticism. You want to slap them on the wrist, but also say, we care. It's like Nintendo's current online service is bad. It's terrible. It's very laggy. And there are many people that are not buying it out of protest. And it does come across to corporations that's bad. That it's terrible. These people are terrible. But if you can like add to it, if you can say we're only doing it because we want it to be better, like we're not trying to be Mr. Mean Old Grinch. We're here to help. Like the criticism is to help you. We're not trying to be the Grinch and say no, it's bad, go away. And it's like and pandering. It's fine if you want to play your little game on stage, do it, but just make sure that if you are going to pander, you've taken all that criticism on board. Like, remember E3 with Fallout? When Todd Howard walked out on that stage and he was joking and saying, you know, our games have a few bugs. It's true, I read it on the internet, and all these little memes. I'll admit, I laughed along with him. He is a charismatic guy. And that's fine. If you wanna pander, do it. But you really needed to have taken in everything that people said about Fallout 4. You should have been taking that in, and you should have been like, oh, our game had a few bugs, but boom, 76, the game that everybody wanted, or, you know, as close to people wanted. And now that you've got all of this negativity around it, and it's just like, well, that's fine. There's criticism here, but you also need to say what happened. Like, if I ever got the chance to talk to Todd, I wouldn't go in guns blazing. I'd just sit down and say, okay, what happened, dude? Where did it go wrong?
A little bit out there on off of the pony show we're talking about, but also I guess what you're trying to say is if you're going to give something to your audience, make sure you're paying homage to your audience and not pandering to them.
Yes.
In the meantime, we do have a Q&A section here. Skullman has asked, what do we think about the creatures that were just normal animals and they were fused together, and then when the magic was taken out, they were normal animals again?
That's kind of disturbing.
I think it's an amazing idea, especially for the world building as a whole.
It now raises the question of who fused them in the first place and why.
Yes, it does. King Bronze wants to know, how do we feel about Pinkie Pie being the master and making the tree do what she wants to entertain her as she gains access to other things and more power and seems completely immune to the loss of all magic in Equestria? Jasper?
Wait, what was the question?
How do we feel about Pinkie Pie being able to do the things she does in this episode and still be completely immune to the magical loss in Equestria? Would be the simplified
All
version.
I can say is that we've answered this question already. It's Pinkie Pie, don't question it.
Tribal Hut Typhoon asks if any of us were glad Chrysalis was not in the season finale. Wow.
Personally, when I saw Chrysalis in To Where and Back again, I was personally satisfied. Like, at some point, I was expecting her to return. When it came to the Mean Six, I wasn't really taking that as the end-all be-all for her. I still think that she's going to make another return at some point during Season 9.
Really wish she wasn't just used as a throwaway character.
I kind of have to agree.
If they do, King Bronze asked if they do bring back all three villains, do we think that they will stab each other in the back and thus lose to the heroes, or that two of them will force a third out and that third will turn on the three villains?
Is the betrayal question even a question? Of course they're gonna stab each other in the back.
And I honestly have the feeling it's the answer to that question is going to be, why not both?
Again, is that even a question?
I hope that it's Tyrek and Cozy Glow that stab each other in the back, and then Chrysalis just swoops in with the crystals and says, I played you all.
Then maybe we can...
So in a way, she learned a little from Starscream Sparkle.
I'm just trying to imagine Chrysalis turning into Cozy Glow in the mass conversion.
I'm actually thinking about if we might see Scorpion as a way to get Tyrek to reform. Because, you know, out of all of them, Tyrek is probably the one who got closest to winning. And he is kind of the biggest of the three. He is the one who's the biggest bad guy. Chrysalis might be the most consistent, but Tyrek left a hell of an impact on the show.
I would like to see what they could do with him, because we got next to no info on him. It'd be interesting to see what he's like. Scorpion.
I'd like Scorpion, but at the same time, I don't agree. He didn't leave a big impact. He was just the freezer. I'm just gonna blow up the world because it's fun. There was nothing to him.
I'm kind of a fan of the whole Dragon Ball Z pony, and I'm gonna say this one: never forget Golden Oaks Library. Tyrek doesn't get redemption.
Hashtag never forget.
Magical Starfix asks, if we could teach any class in the School of Friendship, what would we teach?
The anatomy of a pizza! But I already did a comic about that, so I already did it, so yeah.
Math.
Not sure how to answer that because, you know, the whole idea of teaching friendship, it's kind of subjective.
Being a dragon, I would teach them about the Dragonlands.
You definitely make a better teacher than Sludge.
So I'm either going to end up teaching how to be critical of someone without hurting their without hurting their feelings, or the friendship of explosions.
You have to get back on me to that, because that's a really loaded question, because there's a lot of things that I would like to teach there, but I can't pin down one to answer for this question, so I may have to get back on that.
That's the thing, though. If you're gonna try to teach someone about critiquing them without hurting their feelings, that's kind of bound to happen anyway, because you're pointing out things that... The tricky thing is that when people are pointing out flaws, the immediate instinctive reaction is that you're gonna take that person's gonna take it negatively, and they're gonna feel as though everything they loved about it, they shouldn't have anything to love about it because of what others would say. I'm not going to say it's complicated, but it's kind of instinctive as to why we would take things negatively with negative emotions.
That's why you start with the good first. You say, look at all these things you did right, look how good these things are, but here's a few things that you did wrong that you could improve on.
And then the way we normally do it, or at least we try to, is when we're talking about the things they did wrong, we try to also emphasize, here's how you can fix this. Question directly for Golden Fox. How is it like being crushed by Twinkie? You don't have to answer.
Oh my god. That was hilarious to watch. I do have to give my nod to Lightning Bliss for making that silly video. I'm not going to talk too much about that because that isn't the point of the podcast, but I appreciate the enthusiasm, so I'll just leave it at that.
Skullman. If all the magic was gone and Cozy wins, she's a little filly. What's to stop the main six or any body of power over her to just toss her in jail or kick her head off?
First, there'd be the matter of getting in jail, because, you know, no more magic.
We're talking about good old physical jail where you come round with a stick, you beat her a bit, and you throw her behind iron bars.
And we've seen that.
Have we, though?
Trouble shoes.
Well, knowing these ponies and how they like to be very minuscule in the art of punishment and all that, I don't know how that would happen. I mean, I would like to see her in jail because that's just incredibly stupid and her plan, and she didn't really think this whole entire plan through. But I don't know, because these ponies are very friendly-ish.
She went to the Sunset Shimmer School of Villainy.
Yes.
Hey, here's a great idea, but let's not actually think about it in too much detail. Like, I even made like this funny video about or not a video, but a funny like reaction post to what would actually have happened if Sunset had walked through the portal into Equestria. Discord snaps his finger and like everything is just destroyed instantly. Like, there's a reason why Discord can't really show up in any of the episodes, or he has to immediately be nerfed. Because he can do anything.
And there's also a reason why Sunset makes a better hero.
And our last question of the evening from Tribal Typhoon is, what is everyone's favorite episode of Season 8 and why?
I think that should be a fairly easy question to answer. I'm not going to try to hog the spotlight, so who wants to go?
Jasper?
Short, sweet, and to the point, the Kieran episode. Because Rachel Bloom is funny, I love the song, and it had a good moral.
And same here. I also love the Sound of Silence. If I had to pick a second one, the Heartswarming Club.
Well, that's how you steal my thunder. I was going to say the Heartswarming Club because it's the only episode that brought me to my knees.
But I think we're all on the same page. The Heartswarming one with Gallus was heart-wrenching. The Kieran one was funny. I guess another one I'd pick would be the Mean Six, just because I like watching Chrysalis lose her mind. She was quite funny in that one.
I rather enjoyed Granny's Gone Wild. I thought that whole episode was just a riot, and I loved the characterization between Granny Smith and Rainbow Dash. It's a connection we don't get to see all that often. Plus,
yeah, I like
also
that
like
episode too.
That title still haunts me! Why can't they just call it the Golden Bears?
I gotta agree with Golden and Jasper. I really did like the Kieran episode. Autumn Blaze was just a fun, bubbly character that I just instantly loved when she was introduced. I like the moral, I like the background, I like the land that the Kierans were a part of. I kind of like their design, even though Lightning Bliss did take offense to it a little bit. I just loved a lot of things in that episode. So I go with the Kieran episode as my favorite of the season 8.
I think the better answer is mostly just like maybe multiple episodes, because I also like What Lies Beneath, the Rockhoof episode. I also enjoyed Surf and Turf for its subtle message about divorce, and pretty much like there's a good number of episodes I did enjoy, which is why I don't take that big of an issue with season 8.
I like What Lies Beneath because I hate to say this, I called this 2.5 years ago at TrotCon, and then I made a video about it immediately after TrotCon, and now 2.5 years later they play the episode that basically proves that magic is alive, and I'm dancing up and down in my room for like 2 hours. But this brings up an interesting point. What is the one episode you hate that just needs to be replaced with something else? And why?
For season 8?
Hope it never comes back.
Yakety sack.
In season 8.
The mod couple.
I'm with you.
I hated that episode.
I had to live DJ that at BabsCon and be Queen Quake the entire time. And inside, I was screaming, why would you do this?
Father knows beast.
Yeah, that episode too. Oh god.
So
Okay,
The
so we
Rainbow
do
Dash,
have...
Applejack rivalry again.
Yeah, that one was just like, it's stupid but passable. But Mod Couple, Yakety Sax, Father Knows Beast, and Matter
End
of
in Friends?
Principles. End in Friends was the same issue that I had with the whole the not complete cause. It was just like it was stupid, but it was passable. But the 4 episodes that I mentioned, those I thought were more destructive.
So, ending this, before we go off on entire new tangents, before we actually go do the viewings for these episodes, season 8, to end our podcast on a bright note, what is the one moment in season 8 that actually makes you look forward to season 9?
Well, we've got some art as well, and seeing Chrysalis actually play like her role now that she's been set up.
Go ahead and start the artwork upload. Insane. Go ahead, Jasper.
Possibly seeing Chrysalis go loony pads.
Go ahead, critic.
I have 2 moments. I actually loved the introduction of the Student 6 because I love concepts where the show allows itself to evolve. I do actually enjoy that. And Moltdown, because, you know, my favorite character finally got some growth. Like some substantial permanent growth to his character. So, you know, I enjoyed that. That was one of those moments I've been waiting for and was almost completely satisfied.
Go ahead, Jojo.
I gotta say, even though I doubt this has happened, this is on one of my bucket lists for season 9. Just being able to see Spike's parents, because even though we got Father Knows Beast, we may actually get to know Spike's parents in season 9, if that's even a possibility. I'm just hoping so, because we did eventually learn about Applejack's parents, so who's to say we won't learn more about Spike's parents or any of the other main 6's parents? Or, I mean, that was a stupid question. We already know a lot about Twilight's and everyone else's, but you know what I'm trying to say?
Yes, we need to rip the Band-Aid off, please.
Golden.
All right, so what was the question again?
The one moment in season 8 that actually makes you look forward to season 9. One moment, just one particular point.
Whew. Well, I hope that the Student 6 becomes a better use, because I did, like, with the exception of the non-compete clause and Matter of Principles, I enjoyed pretty much the rest of the episodes that had them in it, whether it was school play, school days, excuse me. I got mixed up between school days and horseplay, but I like that episode too. Like What Lies Beneath and other episodes that pretty much center around them, because those are the episodes that actually I still believe that they have much more room for development and have much more to look forward to. Plus, their interactions, just everything about them is just fun to watch. And I hope that they're put to better use during Season 9, as well as the majority of what everybody else has stated.
I am going to go all the way back to the beginning of the season. And the one thing that made me watch the entirety of Season 8, and actually still makes me look forward to Season 9, we had a good Fluttershy episode. And we got to see Fluttershy play out more than just her bashful personality, and we also got to see the benefits of cosplay and roleplay, which is a research paper I actually did almost 3 years ago. But just seeing that character have an episode that was not be more assertive was kind of amazing. So is everyone gone?
I'm still here. Just don't know what to say on this one.
I'm still there.
I meant on the one moment in Season 8 that's going to make you watch Season 9.
I actually forgot that the Fluttershy episode was a part of Season 8.
Okay, so, Insane, where's the artwork? Nothing's been uploaded.
It's alright, I was waiting, but they're all linked, they're all ready to go, so first, here's just...
I'm frightened.
Oh, geez.
Are you serious?
Congratulations!
Are you fucking serious?
Team Jams relevant!
Oh my god.
I saw the meme was dead.
Okay, what's the actual artwork for this week?
Oh, okay, there's 2 actual pieces of artwork, it's a 2-parter, and it does slightly focus around the reindeer. So this is part 1, when you were saying that they were all watching through the windows.
Oh god.
Oh my.
Those that stare. God, they're looking into my soul.
Remind me never to give Insane Spyro power.
But,
so exposed.
Oh, don't worry, wait till you see. So, like... Yeah.
Oh gee.
Oh god!
Why did I ask?
I feel bad for you, Fiaura.
What could go wrong?
I'm glad I have blackout curtains!
Have fun sleeping tonight.
Always
So-
watching, Wazowski. Always watching.
I
Pretty
don't
much.
need sleep. I don't want to sleep. I am the walking living.
So, yeah, like, last week when we were saying, like, oh, I'll keep
Somebody
my
made an
eye on
oopsie.
Hmm?
I
What's
clicked the wrong scene! I'm that bothered right now! Golden, hold me!
So from last week, where we were talking about the Christmas present, it's like I'll keep my eyes and ears out for if somebody says something random or memey to put in your stockings. And because the reindeers are always watching, I've now joined the reindeers with my magic brush that can make all my wishes come true. And every night, every day, if you ever hear a rustle outside your door or a creak on your floorboard, that's me, watching you.
If I hear a rustle outside my door or a creak on the floorboard, I'm getting to C4.
I'm frightened beyond any rational thought. I fear all that is involved. I fear for my body and everything attached to it. I need to be held.
Okay. So, we start from the top to end this episode. But before we do that, I did promise a special guest announcement. Aeon. My mind blanked there for what the rest of their name is. Thanks, Spyro.
Aeon of Dreams.
Aeon of Dreams will be joining us
You're
next week with
welcome.
as a special guest with a guest chosen episode. Go tell your friends. Start letting people know. Aeon will be here next week, and Spyro, that means you have to figure out some way to include Aeon in the artwork next week. Good luck. This has been Fiaura, and
Oh, I'm sure I can find some way.
you guys go ahead and give your outros.
I guess I'm the first one to go out. Jesus, I'm trying to say this with a straight face because of the tone Fiora has been giving ever since she accidentally exposed herself on camera. But you can check out my content on my main channel, second channel, and my Twitch channel, as they will be linked to you guys. Until then, I hope you have a good one. Oh my god, I'm sounding like a robot reading the same line over and over and over again. Pass it off to who was the next one? I can't see my rest right now. Insane Spiral, you're up.
Yes, it's me, the art person. Someone needs to link me a picture of Aeon's pony so that I can see what I'll be doing. But as for my outro, I stream on Twitch on a somewhat daily basis, as well as upload Let's Plays, game reviews, and other manner of things to YouTube. And of course, I always draw stuff for this lovely chat, as I'm always watching as my new reindeer. Over to Jasper.
But for realsies, this has been your local pizza pone and upcoming birthday boy this Monday. Also, coming out throughout the week is my epic 18 to 19 part epic comic collaboration with Science Steel Rail titled Rumble on the Rails. So keep an eye out all week. And also pudding.
Pudding.
Pudding. Moon Knight, help me again.
Sorry for not being being around at the last part. I had some pancakes. I'm Moon Knight. You can find me at my channel down below. I was planning on doing a kind of series review, preparing us for what may or may not be happening, because I hope to see you all around, and yeah, next week we're gonna have Aeon, and we'll see how that goes. I'm sure it will go fine. On to show you.
Well, guys, thanks for watching this live stream again. I hope you all enjoyed our thoughts. You can find me on the YouTubes, the Twitter. Don't have a Twitch yet, but I will be coming out with a review of Suited for Success. I got some ideas for changes to a script that I'm working on, so it may come out in the next few days. Who knows? But keep in touch for that. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next live stream. Brony Critic.
Thank you. I am the Brony Critic. You guys can follow me on YouTube and on Twitter at the Brony Critic. I focus mainly on fandom reviews, fan content, and theories. I'm currently in the middle of a 30-day film challenge on Twitter and am working on a couple of very special videos and convention material. So keep an eye out on that.
And I am Fiaura the Tank Girl. I am your host. I just published yesterday the Are We Harsher Critics Gaming Industry Analysis, and I will be publishing the part 3 of that later this week. In addition to this, I have a book coming out that we will be doing live edits tonight at midnight, which is in about 3 hours for me. I'll be sitting here just editing and hanging out with you guys, and anyone's free to come in my Discord, my personal Discord, not this one, and just hang out and talk. In the meantime, who wants last word?
Barnacle.
Koziklo must perish!
Dark Smash!
Pudding.
The reindeer are always watching you.
Drink X Golden Fox.
And
Mate.
since I now see doubt, I'm going to C4 this conversation.
Spike is best pony.